Seance is a 2021 horror film directed by Simon Barrett. Camille Meadows is a new girl at the prestigious Edivine Academy for Girls. Soon after her arrival, 6 of her friends invite her to join them at a late-night ritual calling forth the spirit of a dead former student who reportedly haunts the halls. But before morning, one of the girls is dead, leaving the others wondering what have they awakened. You know, when it comes to movies like this, I try to not come at it too hard because it's one of those indie films that not a lot of people know about. But when I found out about this film, it was from Shudder, and then not only that, but the producers who made this film are the same ones who made one of my best thriller horror films, which is called You're Next. I love that film. That film is one of my best thriller films I've ever seen, even today. Not just by a horror aspect, but just how things fall in place, how people get killed, and how we end up caring about the characters. Because when it comes to horror films, slasher films, scary movies in general, they have a plot, they have a premise, but at the same time, they are lacking material when it comes to the character development and for us giving a damn about the characters. I'm saying that to say this. Seance is the opposite of what I was expecting it was going to be like watching this film and comparing it to Your Next. In fact, it's worse. Now, when the character Camille comes to this school, she's already into some shit. She's already into like a lot of bullying, a lot of comparison between her and the other girls. And by this happening is because of how she carries herself. And to be completely aware of her character, Camille, that is played by Suki Waterhouse. Suki, she did good. I liked her character. Her character was pretty well crafted, and her attitude as this character fits the film. I thought that if you're going to have a character that's going to be a main, I wanted this character to be witty, be smart, have an innocent tone, but at the same time have methods of her in the line of defense when it comes to her being in a horror film as this. And Suki, I thought she was a great choice. Helena, which is her friend, aka little secret love interest. I'm saying this because they showed this in the trailer, and this is a warning too. Don't watch the trailer of this film because they spoiled a hell of a lot. I showed it in the headline, but at the same time, I cut a lot of stuff out because I don't want people to watch the film and notice that there's a lot of material in that trailer. But Helena, that is played by Ella Ray Smith, she did a great job too. Another innocent character, and a character that tries to stand out from the crowd of the other characters that is in the film. And the reason why she does that is because every single character other than these two are the same. Every single character in this film are the same. Now, them being in this Edivine Academy, it's for girls, of course, but all of them, except the two that I mentioned, Camille and Helena, they're all bitchy characters. Just that like the teenage attitude junkie. Oh, I have all this, I own all this, I can get any guy I want. Bitchy attitude, and it was cringeworthy. Every time they talk, they all react the same. They all do things in the same manner, and the way how they present themselves doesn't really pull me in to know these characters that much. In fact, I end up hating most of the characters in this film. Every time Camille or Helena tries to talk to them or try to get things situated when these murders do occur, oh, don't worry, bitch. Like, just try to get everything situated. Oh, don't worry, bitch. Just get everything ready in the clean car. No. when it comes to horror films, right? And by me watching horror films on a regular, I pay very close attention to the character development, because if characters are going to die, I pay attention to which character is going to die before it happens. Are they going to be cool characters? Are they gonna be chill characters? Are they gonna be the characters for us to act a little weird upon when it comes to these murders happening and they're never on the scene? Every single character on here doesn't matter. No lives matter in this film, and I don't mind that, because when these characters act the same, I end up hating them. In fact, I end up wanting them to get killed because they did not do anything for me to be intertwined with them. So when these killings end up happening, um, I did not care about it at all. In fact, the way how they get killed still didn't surprise me. It was just a normal killing, which is very disappointing. If you are going to want to watch this for a horror perspective, it's not a horror film. It's not a horror film at all. If you want to watch it just to be scared, it's subjective. What makes you scared? This movie does have jump scares because these females do a seance, which they end up causing a spirit to occur in the place that they're in. So they just did that just for the jump scare perspective. But is it enough for you to enjoy the film? In my case, no. I did not enjoy that film. I didn't enjoy the film in that perspective at all. The movie is not scary. It fails on that. The movie is not a horror film. I was not horrified watching it. So it fails in both in aspects. Is it a thriller at least? It's barely a thriller. At the end of the film, by me comparing it to Your Next had a twist. And by me watching this, I wanted to see what the twist was on this one. And it actually has a pretty good twist into the film. I actually liked the twist on Seance. Is it better than Your Next twist? No, not by a long shot. In fact, when the twist happens, you get shocked, but at the same time, you're like, oh, okay, I should have known. It's not like it caught you off guard, but you wanted to know what was going on, who was doing these killings and why, and if there really is a ghost or a demonic presence around a resort. So when this twist occurs, you're not shocked because of the factor of them being creative enough for you to not know what happened, but you're shocked because you were so dumb enough to let that sink, to let that walk past you. That's not creativity at all. It's just you wanted to know you want to know what was going on with the film. And as for the ending, I liked the ending. I thought the ending was pretty good. They explained everything in the film, and we actually get some good, satisfying kills in the ending of the film. Not to the point where we was satisfied with everything that was laid into the table when it comes to the character development and the dialogue and stuff. The dialogue is pretty cheeky in this film, but I liked the ending of Seance because it actually gave us some of those Your Next vibes of the gore and the survival elements to it. That's why I was saying that it's a little bit of a thriller movie, because by the end half of the film, that's when the survivors begin to try to do as much as they can to survive when they find out what is really going on. And I liked it. In fact, I feel like Seance should have had been more of that instead of giving us false hope, believing that this is a movie for us to get scared and for us to believe that this is a horror film. I think that this should have been a film about these girls, which these girls do the seance. They do the seance, and they do it a lot. They do it all the time. So when these killings begin to happen, they begin to try to talk to the principal about it. They try to inform the police, but they don't believe them because it's like a game of cry wolf. So they have a history of pulling pranks and doing all these stupid stunts to give the adults false beliefs that these girls are full of shit. So when these girls end up disappearing and they end up telling these when they begin to tell the authorities and stuff, they don't believe them. So they're on their own. And that's acceptable. I feel like by them being young adults, they're gonna act stupid. So that pulled me in. I was like, okay, at least it rips out the strategic way to try to figure this out easily. They need to try to stick together to try to figure this out in a team. But it still falls flat because even though they know that lives are at stake, they still act bitchy towards each other. And I was like, no, like, no, there are movies that had younger kids in these same situations and they did it better. I don't know if this is from a female perspective of this film's premise, but I feel like in a survival movie such as this, when things are at stake, you need to put your differences aside and try to get things situated in an organized manner because, again, your life is at stake. And if you don't, then that's when you're going to have your guard let down. And as for knowing what happened, over the top, I already knew the situation. At the second half of the film, judging by how the girls was acting towards these deaths was occurring, first of all, when a death happened, we couldn't even gravitate to it because the girls wasn't gravitating to it. Oh my gosh, he's dead. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go back to my room. That's essentially how they reflect on the deaths of this movie. I feel like by us watching this, it should be more of an impact to these deaths so we can be more on the edge of our seat. But at the same time, we didn't really care much about these characters because most of these characters acted the same way. We need to have these characters act differently. So when we try to find out who the culprit is when it comes to them committing these murders, we can we can be unaware of who the character is behind the tropes. But I found out who it was. I knew automatically who the culprit was. It's common sense, basically. Just find out who is acting different. Find out who is not really around and find out who is the least bitchiest character in the film. I'm not spoiling it. I'm just saying that this film is predictable in ways where when you watch horror, when you watch thrillers, when you watch slasher films, and when you watch whodunit movies, they do it better. So when you watch those films and they don't hold you by the hand, this film, it's very predictable in my opinion. I would have to give this a pass. If you are thinking about watching it in those aspects, I would say watch your next. If you haven't seen it, shame on you. Watch it. It's a very good movie. I'm gonna have to give Seance a C minus. I was very hyped up watching this movie. I've the first start of the film, it started off pretty quickly. It does not drag at all, so I was already on board. But what pulled me away was the fact that when these girl characters was acting so moody, acting so bitchy towards every other character that was trying to be different, I was like, you know what? I hope when things get serious that they would change, but they didn't. They acted that same way towards the end of the whole film. And I feel like if you're going to be a director or a producer, you need to want to make them feel more realistic when it comes to their reaction to these murders. Okay, well, we need to get our shit together. And another thing with the other character, which is Alice, Alice, she's the main pack of the bitches. She's the main leader of the pack that is played by Anana Salkis, if I'm saying it correctly. She was a good bitchy character. She did a great job. The reason I'm saying that because I hated her the most. If her job was to make me hate her, she did a good job. But I feel like you can't stay as that character when things get serious. At that time, you need to change it up. You're one character, but when this thing happens, like when something serious happens, how are you going to respond to it, especially in a horror film? Being a good actor doesn't mean doing one role and sticking to it. Being a good actor is doing iconic roles in iconic situations. Okay, you're acting like this, but how would you act when something happens when it comes to sorrow, losing a family member, losing a friend? How does that react to it? Now, like I said, she did good as her being a bitchy character, but what about when things get serious? What about all of them when it gets serious? The only two that laid out was the two that I mentioned, Camille and Helena. We had like at least 6 or 7 girls in this film, and only 2 of them showed up as the differences of what kind of held this film up. That's unacceptable. But I did waste too much time, didn't I? I should have explained it through the beginning, but this film was a scramble for me. But anyway, that's all I have to say for now. I mean, well, that's all I have for today. Stay tuned for more of my reviews and upcoming videos coming your way. This is Hugo, your critic teacher, and you guys have a good day.